Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network, presented by Primary Arms.
Yay, good people.
So, Jim, what you doing?
I'm playing with this square little object with a hole down the middle that I can see myself through.
Is that something that was invented by Hiram Maxim?
It was. Not this particular design or style, but the particular concept. Hiram Maxim is also the guy that built the first machine gun.
Yeah.
True machine gun, not a Gatling gun.
You know what those little things were used for? Originally?
Gun mufflers.
They used to have competitions at people's homes inside the house.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
You know.
He's right. I fired indoor ranges, and especially when the ceiling's down low. Oh my God! If you don't have hearing protection, you might as well just go home.
But they used to sit down and they'd put it on a single shot 22, and they would get in the parlor and they would shoot these 22 shorts, and
that's why they call it a gallery load.
Right. And they would have competitions in the house.
And well, to finish what you're talking about, Mike, you notice I'm threading a nut on the end of my barrel.
A nut playing with a nut.
Ask me why my barrel's threaded, Mike.
Why is your barrel threaded, Jim?
Because I bought it that way.
Is that because you're going to put that gun muffler on?
Something like that, yeah. Actually, what I'm doing, guys, quit playing around being with this mock drama, I bought myself a Winchester Wildcat. And by doing that, I bought myself, you guys know, I told Travis, Mike, and Jason, I won this suppressor a couple years ago, almost 3 years, 3 years now. It's never been used, brand new. Here's the box, the original box. I didn't unbox it today, but I did take it out of the box today that I've been keeping it in. Anyway, the point is, since I can't show the entire gun, I'll show bits and pieces of it. I bought a Winchester Wildcat. And, Mike, can you zoom in? I'll see if I can get this thing close. There's the exact reason why I bought the rifle. Threads. I bought a rifle to fit my suppressor. I bought a gun to fit the suppressors. Paul and I and Mike have been before the show. I'm holding little black circular things, little shims, to try and adjust the index of my suppressor to 6 o'clock. I've gotten it as far as 12 o'clock.
What do you mean index? Are you like using little recipe cards?
Well, guys, what I'm talking about is right now, this is the way the suppressor is supposed to work. You're supposed to point it at your target and it's supposed to look, square like so. Right now, though, the problem is it's upside down. Like I'm calling it indexing at 12 o'clock on the hands of a watch.
So it's indexed 180 degrees right now.
Correct. Right now, Paul, I'm going to put a 3.5 and a 5 together and see what happens.
Well, now wait a minute. You just put a 5 on, right?
Yep, and it was at 12 o'clock.
It indexed it at
12
at 6 o'clock.
No,
because you said it was 180 degrees.
Okay.
Well,
we're going to find out what it is now.
So
I'm starting over.
You put a 5 on.
I'm starting completely over.
So it should be a 10 to take you right to where you should be.
We'll find out. Since I can't very well show it on the air, you guys just have to take my word for it. Whoa. Well, I got it to about 11 o'clock. We're going to get her. You guys carry on amongst yourselves. Paul, what'd you do this week in Guns and Reloading?
Didn't do a lot this week. Basically, we had a tornado in the area the other night, and my sister-in-law's house got hit, so I was over there helping.
That's bad juju, and that's a good thing. I hope. Yep. Well, that's right. I hope you're carrying. I'm not going to talk about legalities or anything like that, but I hope you're carrying something to keep yourselves safe. Help keep yourselves safe from the bad guys.
Oh yeah, that I'm not worried about.
Good.
30 and plus 2 reloads is 90, and that's usually enough to persuade people.
That'd be a good thing.
Yep.
2 5s.
And by the way, for those of you who are screaming, it's a silencer, not a suppressor. That's merely semantics. Yes, Hiram Maxim, when he submitted the patent, did call it a silencer.
That's right. If I can't trust Dr. Maxim, the inventor of the device, who in the world can I trust?
Yeah. So he did patent it as a silencer, but suppressor is kind of an interchangeable term nowadays. So,
like Mike said, it's semantics, folks.
Yep.
Gun guys call cast bullets, or people that buy their cast bullets, they call them cast bullets.
Right.
Yes, Jorgen. Yes, he is wearing a watch with hands on it, so because a digital watch would make it difficult for him.
It's actually got both. I forgot all about that. And I haven't seen the comments yet. Jorgen, glad you're out there, buddy. How are things up in Kanakistan? How's things up in Kanakistan?
So, anyway, we're going to talk about powders tonight. We got a question a long time ago in the MeWe chat about asking about different powders. And as anybody knows, there's about 125 or so powders out there. Yes, yeah, okay, it's a sundial. Yes.
Hey, Chris, I got a one-finger message for you, buddy. Chris is one of us, Paul. He's a veteran.
Yep.
And he's one of those special veterans. He wore the eagle instead of the crow.
Yeah.
By that, I'm talking about in the Navy, on the enlisted man's rank badge, or rating badge, or either one. We had a small eagle on it, and the officers would wear the eagle up on their hat with the coat of arms and all that, the Navy coat of arms, and the enlisted men would wear the crow. Chris wore the eagle, but he was smart enough to get out while he still had something left. Still had some good sense left or something. I'm not sure what. I got it clear around till 9 o'clock, Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Chris and good sense belong in the same sentence.
One of these days, we're going to have to get Chris on the show. But out there in that Wyoming place, it's like, how in the world can you do that? We're going to put 2 10s in, Paul, see what happens now.
2 10s? Okay.
Yeah. Snug her down, gently snug her down.
But going back to powders, we're sitting there. There's about 125 different powders out there, give or take. Some of them are leaving us. Some of them are new ones coming online in this dire shortage that we have of powder. So we're each going to take a different shooting philosophy, one for shotgun, one for pistol, and one for rifle. So if you guys got questions about it, we'd like to see them, and let us answer as best we can. Because with 125 of them out there, I don't think I've tried them all. I know that I haven't. I do have some favorites in all three sports. So we'll go from there.
Well, mine's real simple. I'll go next because I'm actually working with my hands, and mine's real simple. I chose handgun powder, and you guys are going to take and give me hell for oversimplifying things, but I've tried powders from Bullseye, WW231, Red Dot, Green Dot, Blue Dot. Blue Dot's pretty good stuff. I've tried 2400. I've tried Unique. I've even tried that famous big old fireball looking stuff called WW296, or also known as H110. And I've used them all. And finally one day, years ago, I just realized I got so much handgun powder that I won't use. I might have 10, 12 different 1 pound canisters. And, well,
Okay.
I got tired of that stuff sitting around. I finally decided to use it all up, make up what I can, because let's face it, we're not as accurate with handguns at the end of our arm, out there, they're bouncing around just like my finger is, playing basketball with the front sight and then the bullseye, trying to put a hole in the bottom of the bullseye and all that mess. So I decided myself, this is for me, I decided I'm going to use one powder and use one powder that does it all. Doesn't necessarily do 44 Magnum well, but it does 38 Special well. And it does 44 Special. Gallery loads of 44, it does all right with. But trust me, I have used enough Unique in my 44 Magnum that I was actually pulling the cases off of the bullet with recoil in my Ruger 7.5-inch hog leg. It's a Super Blackhawk. And I've actually pulled the cases right off the bullet, jammed the gun up and everything. It works pretty darn well. It may not create the fireball that everybody wants to see, but I'm not interested in fireball. I'm interested in putting a hole where I want it. What I'm trying to say is, people, I use one powder, Unique. It does everything. And Paul and Mike, you're both welcome to disagree fervently. But you're also talking to the guy that orders Unique by the case. No, not the keg. I said case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
32-pound case. I've used 2 cases of it since I've been reloading.
I use a lot of different pistol powders because of what a lot of my handguns that I use. Autocomp 3N38, Bullseye HP 38, 296, and I think I still have some 1680 left. But those are what I kind of lean towards. And then again, when I go into my Harrods, and they are handguns, but you call them a rifle, H322, 4198. Then I kind of, because of the bore size and everything else, those work better for that. But with all the powders that are out there, you know, for a beginning reloader, yeah, unique is great. I'm going to sit down and say that 9mm, you're not going to get a double charge out of it. You may have some powder spillage if you're running it on a progressive, but you're going to have safe loads following recipes that are out there. Tougher to run through a powder measure because it is a flake powder. But that's that's what I see. I mean, there's still people that are using green dot and 700X for those loads too. So we got this crossover. Unique can be used for shot shells. So you got a crossover there. I think there's even some loads for rifle loads for it. So don't be afraid to experiment with some of these powders if you have load data for it. You'd be surprised at some of the accuracy you can get from it.
So, I mean, there's so many different powders out there. Andy just brought up Andy 79Z28 brought up Winchester WSH, which is a newer one. So, or is that one of the old pull downs? That might be one of the old pull downs. But Lead Bullet Junkie said he likes where'd it go? He says I'd be fine with some clay shotgun powder and some IMR 3031. So if we're doing 3031, we'll go back and I actually have some of the DuPont 3031. Just kind of wanted to show that off for fun. Somebody posted over in the reloading room that Unique is good beginning powder. So where'd it go? Let's see. We've got
Andy's 79Z28 says Winchester still makes a WSH.
Okay. Unique is great for beginners for that exact purpose. Nearly impossible double charge. It always ran well through his RCBS Uniflow. Spudman likes some Vitivori. I've never used any Vitivori because it was always a little pricier than what I was using, so I didn't bother to buy any of it. Baron Lindsay, man after my own heart, tight group. The problem with tight group is it's really easy to double and sometimes triple charge. So there was another comment I was just looking for. Where'd it go? Excuse me. Elk Blood, W231 for the autoloaders, H110 and MP300 for the Magnum revolvers. He said almost no load data for the WSH, so it's been fun working up loads. Well, that's cool. So Tyler Jones, like Accurate 5 and 7. I got a bunch of stuff up there. Tight group, clays, green dot. I think there's some red dot up there. I know there's blue dot up there. Some number 7, Win 748, Lever Revolution, IMR 4064. So Varget. Yeah, IMR 4064, Trail Boss, Unique, Power Pistol, the 3031. So, I mean, there's a bunch of, but
Got it.
Okay.
I can't show it, but I've got my suppressor, people. I've got my suppressor index at exactly 6 o'clock down here.
Good
My
job.
little fingers. And I wound up with a shim combination of a 10 and a 15. 25,000 shim.
Okay.
And it's after we're off the air, I'll show you, Paul and Mike.
Good.
But anyway,
So,
I'll show you this much. There you go.
yeah. So our resident prisoner currently, Paul Loud. Paul, hurry up, get better, get out. He said he's the one that said unique is great for beginners, and then he said short load window with tight group, which is true. Some of the other powders do loan themselves to a wider spread.
Why is he in jail?
He's not in jail.
He said prisoner.
Yeah, he's the other prisoner. Hospital.
Oh, the
Yeah.
repair shop.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Get better, Paul. Come on, we gotta get you back here.
Yeah, we need somebody to give us some shit once in a while.
Right. So, now what do you?
My wife's in there chirping. I can do that. I can do that.
Oh my goodness,
Boom, 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 boom.
Paul. I think Shawshank had better food.
I'm getting pummeled.
You should be.
Shut
right.
up, Mike.
So, Jim,
Sure.
here's a question for you.
Yes.
This is a theoretical question because we are kind of going down the rabbit hole with powder.
Yeah. Okay. Hypothetical.
Unique is no longer available. You've used all you have. You cannot buy any more.
Bite your tongue.
No, I'm serious. Hypothetical question. What are you going to do?
Understand. Tell Mike to bite his tongue. No, first off, that's heresy.
Okay.
But anyway. To answer the man's question, the simple thing is, you find the next load is something that's useful, something that'll suit your fancy, something that will take care of. In my case, I shoot quite a few handgun calibers,
Right.
from 40 to 44, 9, all that sort of thing, and I would want something that's going to fill the bill, at least for most of my calibers.
Mm-hmm.
So I would grab a hold of a powder burn rate chart, I should say. Mike probably has one handy. Squeaky chair. Anyway, I would grab myself a burn rate chart, and see what comes close. Now, Unique has been in production since the 1800s. When they first started making smokeless powders. In fact, Winchester, Hercules. That's exactly, Mike. That looks like one been hand generated.
Nope. Hodgdon makes this one.
Okay, great. That's on Hodgson is not Hercules. I'm sorry.
So this is November of 2019. Your fastest powder is the Norma R1. Your slowest powder is the Vidivore 20N29.
Mikey, can you take and zoom, hover your mouse over top of the word unique on that chart? I can't read the chart. Let me see if I can full screen. Nope, that doesn't help. You're getting there.
You'd be
Those rifle powders.
You'd be looking at Universal or Alliant 2028. That brackets the unique on up and down.
Okay, yeah, because Blue Dot's slower. Yeah, there it is, number 32. Thank you, Mikey. And on either side, Winchester 244, and like Paul said, Hodgson Universal. I'd try both of them, pound of each, see which one fills my needs better, and that's where I would go.
Now,
So I'd be back to developing a load.
Now, as I would look at it, I'm sitting there going, the next one slower would be is something along the lines of power pistol,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting there going, boy, that one really develops a lot of horsepower.
Yep.
And
It would be a
moving
good choice.
it would for a 9 that or a 38 super or 357. But going down to something for a 38 special, I would probably sit with something more along the lines of 231 HP 38.
Mm-hmm. Well, 231 is very close to bullseye.
Yeah.
But and the thing is too, we are reloaders, and every one of us experiment. I don't care who you are. What?
Bullseye is number 13. 231 is number 29 on my chart. So
Well,
I
Mikey's
mean,
got well, I can see, but there's several powders ahead of bullseye. I was very surprised by that. Norma number one is
yeah.
number one, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And 320, which is Vitvori, and so on and so forth. But that's for strictly economics. Bullseye was used as many thousands of pounds of bullseye have been used in 38 special shooting gallery loads at 50 feet for NRA style bullseye.
Yeah. I have a CNH Auto Champ press that was set up to run full wad cutters and bullseye. 2.7 grains of bullseye with a full wad cutter in a
Yeah.
38 special case. That's what the press was set up for. So uh, that's that takes you back a while.
So Paul Loud said W231 and HP 38 are the same, and so are W296 and H110. And I have actually gotten them to admit to that. So many years ago, when we were doing in the earlier episodes, we did get. I did call during the week, and I did get Hodgson to one of the CSRs to say flat out, yes, that is true. 231 and HP 38 are the same, and 296 and or W296 and H110 are the same. So that doesn't mean that everything is the same. So, and then Winchester Super Handicap is the powder that Andy was talking about, WSH. So, oh, I got Trail Boss in there. So, but if you look at most of these really fast powders, they're one of two. They're pistol or shotgun.
Well, that brings up a good point that you and I discussed off air again, Mike, and that is that all handgun powders, generally speaking, I would say 95% certainty, all handgun powders can be used in shot shell, which takes us segues right into your corner of the show tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking here at mine, and I'm sitting there saying there are about 70 pistol shotgun powders out there. Pistol / shotgun powders.
Yeah.
Some of them are not going to work for shotguns. Some of them are not going to work for handguns. But you're looking at a possibility of 70 powders that you could use.
If you can't find that powder, you got bigger problems. If you can't find powder among 70 different loads, you got bigger problems than powder availability.
Yeah.
The balloon done gone the hell up, and you better be hoarding your ammo that you built, your stockpile, and we're not going to talk about Phil Rebellet kind of stuff.
Yep.
I'm just sitting there saying that you have a lot of powders to choose from. don't always take something that's out there that everybody sits there and says, "Oh, this is the load." Because if you can't get that powder, try another one. Try
Yep.
something different.
You bet.
So for economy, yes, everybody sits down and says, "Okay, 9mm tight group." Okay, all right. Well, tight group and bullseye are right in there at the same speed,
Right.
or just about. So you're going to get pretty much in there as far as your economy of loads per
Yeah.
your pound of powder.
Yep.
Well, let's just say a unique. I think the standard load for a 9mm 125 grain bullet. I'm going to pull something out of my hat, and I probably wrong. 5 grains. Well,
Hey, let's grab one of these here things.
okay, do that, Mike, and put yourself on camera.
One of these, they're reloading manuals.
Put yourself on camera. Turn off that screen share. Let's look at your smiling face. Buck teeth and all. Mikey is the kind of guy who could eat corn on the cob to a picket fence. Well.
All right, 125 grain jacketed hollow point. And you said tight group?
No, I said unique. 5
Unique?
grains. Tight group, that'd be a hot load.
5 grains is a hot load for unique. That's a max. According
4.5.
to Lyman's 50th.
What do you think? 4.5 then?
Yeah, 4.5's the min. So.
All right, then call it 4.8. So you just do the math. That's all.
I used to load a lot of guns with 4.5. I had a bushing for my CNH that was for 4.5 grains of unique, and it would reload 38s, 9mm, 38 super, and 45 ACP,
and 40
for
that matter, because my 40 load is 4.5
of unique.
Right.
Yep.
Of unique.
Okay, so let me get off full screen. Bring up the calculator right quick.
That's for cast bullets, by the way, not.
Yeah.
7,000 divided by 4.5. Guys, you're talking 1,555 rounds. Call it 1,550 rounds per 1 pound canister.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's economy. I don't care how you look at it. That's
Right.
9mm.
Now, what's tight group in there?
3.8.
Okay. 7,000 divided by 3.8. That's 1,842 rounds.
Yep. Whereas power pistol, its min is 5.1.
Okay, so 7,000 again. Divided by 5.1. Well, you're down to 1,372 rounds. Call 1,370, 1,840, 1,550. The economy is there with the unique.
Now, see, Tyler's not being very frugal, because he's using accurate number 7, and if he's using accurate number 7, that's a load of 7.0 for the min.
Well, that's easy. That's 1,000 rounds.
Right.
But if that's what works for him, what works well, there's no harm in that. And,
Nope.
But 1,800 rounds versus 1,000 rounds, yeah,
Big difference.
Big difference.
So just to give you an idea, the powders that the only thing that I don't like about reloading manuals, and the drawback to that, is they don't list every powder that's available for it, and part of it's space, honestly. Because if you look at your different manuals have different amounts of powders listed. So for 125 grain jacketed hollow point, they list clays, tight group, bullseye, 700X, 231, accurate number 5, which is 5.4, unique, power pistol, universal, N340, true blue, HS6, accurate 7, and blue dot.
That sounds a little rather political in a way, because what they're doing is they're taking one or two or three or four from each powder manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. So out of that, I personally have used Clay's 700X, unique, and blue dot for loading shot shells. So.
Okay, would we put up Jorgen's?
Yeah, I was just looking at that too.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, I do know that burn rate is it's not just a burn. A burn rate is when you understand powders, you understand that certain powders, based upon their shape and the deterrent coating that they have, and the amount of nitrocellulose or nitroglycerin in there varies from one to the other. So you get the 50 H50 BMG. It has a lot of deterrent on there. It's got a smaller amount of nitrocellulose because it's a stick powder, if I remember correctly. There's no nitroglycerin in it, and it will burn differently than the bullseye will. So yes, if you take the deterrent coatings off of both the powders, and there isn't much on bullseye, you will see a noticeable difference in the burning of powder. Okay, you will see the 50 BMG burn with faster, but because there's less nitrocellulose in that powder per cubic centimeter of powder, you're not going to get the production of gas that the bullseye will give you weight for weight.
Yeah, bullseye is 160, and on the. By the way, it is a relative burn rate chart. So
it's just a way of determining which powders are close to what you're using.
Right. So in case that you can't get your normal powder, you decide you want to play around and try something different. So. Lead Bullet Junkie, have fun working on your truck. That was me last weekend. It sucks. So, but it's one of those things that I'm grateful I can fix my own stuff, because I probably saved myself a good $300 in labor.
So. By the way, I have to concur with what Paul said. 5 grains of HBMG 50 or whatever it was, 50 BMG.
Right.
That 5 grains of powder, that stuff probably would produce less than the bullseye would under same conditions.
Right.
But you're not going to even launch a bullet with 5 grains of powder of the 50 BMG stuff.
No, what he's saying is that if I took 5 grains of 50 BMG and 5 grains of bullseye, and I load let's say a 357 with 5 grains of bullseye
of each, yeah, I got you.
Okay, of each, are you going to get the same thing? And I said, you can't get the same thing because of the differences of the amount of actual real propellant that's in that 5 grains.
That's right. You probably won't even launch the bullet out of the 357 case.
No.
With that, or out of the barrel anyway.
It's not designed to work in that small of an amount.
That's right.
So
you may have an issue with an explosion with the 50 BMG, though.
Yes, so don't try that at home, wherever you do.
Please, because there is this flashover with slow powders that happens that can cause a very quick rise in pressure. I can't guarantee it, but it's just been noted.
Yeah, it is a real issue. And that's why when we're talking about starting at your min loads, we're talking at 10% below max, and don't do different than that, because that's a real issue.
That's also why we created a disclaimer Mike puts on every show.
Yep. because you literally can have a situation where that powder doesn't burn like it's supposed to. It literally almost like black powder all goes up at once. So
Oh, we have a little bit of technology in the show. Jorgen Reagan's comment is, I've done some work before with the bomb calorie meter. If I could get my hands on one, I bet I would make for some neat powder experiments. So, in other words, he knew the answer to the question, Paul.
Well, he was questioning my linking the burn rate chart to the to what I was saying as far as looking at here's one powder and I'm going up one and down one. He wanted us to clarify to the public and the listeners here that there is a difference in the powder, and don't just go by burn rate alone.
right.
Right.
Burn rate is just a guide amongst the rest of the data.
Well, in my case, I don't need to defend myself, but in my case, if I were to choose between a powder that's 2 or 3 bars down below unique or 2 or 3 above, I would probably go for the slower powder, simply because I know I'll get a little bit more velocity out of it.
Mm-hmm.
At least I would hope so.
Right. So with metallic, is it really that hard to switch burn rate or switch powders overall? I mean, is there a lot of stuff you have to worry about with powders if they're similar in burn rate?
Um, I don't know burn rate, but I'd sure get a little worried about some of the nomenclature that's put on the powders.
Mm-hmm.
You have let's take the big one out there that most people know about. You have H4895, you have IMR 4895, you got 2495. They're all close to each other as far as um, powder. They're all this improved military rifle powder 4895, but they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if I load, and I do load a 155 grain match bullet with 42 and a half grains of H4895, I would never do the same thing with IMR or with the accurate 2495. Rates are they the speed of what in that 308 case is up and down depending upon what you're doing. I find that my H4895 is a little slower than the IMR 4895, but if I went to the burn rate chart and I look it up, I would find
H is supposed to be H is 94, IMR is 96, and accurate is 99.
okay. So we're sitting there looking at one, one is actually slower, but my if I did it with IMR, I would find out that I would have to use a grain and a half less to get the same velocity.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a slower powder. So, um, they're not interchangeable.
Yeah, and that's kind of the big thing is just because the numbers are similar or theoretically they're based off the same doesn't necessarily mean that they are the same because
Right.
everybody does their own little little tweaking to it, shall we say? So,
If you
but I
use a max load of one of the fast powder and a min load of the max powder or the hot shit, if you use a minimum load of the slowest powder, it will probably be a little less than the maximum of faster powder. That sound about right? But the point is, when you're actually reloading to charge your cases, check your label on your bottle. Make sure you're putting in what you think you're putting in.
yeah, I don't want to use Clay's and Spot of tight group just because the labels look similar.
Another thing too you want to do, and don't do as I do, and do as I say. I've actually made a mistake. I left some unique in the bottom of my RCBS unit flow
Whoops.
and put some BLC2 on top of it.
Oh.
Couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out why in the hell my bolt is starting to get tight.
Oh, you got lucky.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You got
sir.
Very lucky.
You're absolutely right.
So, Andy 79Z7 or 79Z28. Just a reminder: no powder is a direct replacement for another. You have to work up your loads.
Absolutely, Andy. You're right. Thank you, sir.
And West Covina Dodge loves black powder. You almost can't screw it up. Just fill the case to crunchy and go shoot, almost like Target.
Sounds like Trail Boss.
So, yes, flintlocks rock.
Yeah.
Unless it's humid. That's when flintlocks are not much fun.
I don't care for black powder. Well, it's flintlocks in particular. You get that big old ball of white smoke right there beside your face.
You can't hold them that still for that long.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, that is the biggest thing with a smoke pole, whether it's modern with a 209 and inline or the flintlocks or whatever. Oh my goodness, it's pulling the trigger and then realizing, oh crap, I need to stay dead still. It definitely takes a little more skill than shooting most of your metallic cartridges, because literally when you pull that trigger, all it's done is ignite the primer. It hasn't ignited the powder. It's not an instantaneous, you pull the trigger and then bam, it's gone. It's a lot slower action, especially if you're using a flintlock, because it has to burn the powder and the frizzen, which then has to travel down into the chamber and light that powder. So that's even slower. So when you see somebody that's putting groups like this at 200 yards with a smoke pole, be amazed.
Yeah, because he's been playing with that thing for a long time. And he knows what he's doing.
But
John's hand loading. Highlight that one too, Mikey, because he's right.
powder lots vary too. Yeah, Paul's talked about that a couple times. Powder lots. So when you buy your powder, see if I can reach a couple bottles. I don't know why we're still looking at me. Oh yeah, because I didn't change it off.
That's exactly why they put lot numbers on the side of the container.
Yep.
Even if it's nothing more than a date and time stamp, it's the formulation varies with time.
2 bottles of tight group. All right. Well, that's interesting. Oh, that was on the bottom. So, this one here, bring this back up now. So we got 2 bottles of tight group, and you can obviously tell, maybe not so obviously. If I turn it sideways, if I had better lighting. Hang on a second.
Yeah, you can see the difference in the disclaimer label.
Now I feel enlightened. So There's actually a difference in color on the labels, but I'm not going to get it to show up for some stupid reason.
Yeah, but the disclaimer, the one says caution, the other one says danger.
Right. So, well, actually, no, they both say danger. And then they both say caution. But the point I'm making is this one, the lot numbers right here, whereas this one, and a sticker on the bottom. So when you buy powder and you see a sticker on the bottom like that, do not tear it off. Because if you ever get a recall, that's what they're going to use. So,
Well, if you shoot a lot of rifle, I'm not gonna go so much in the handgun. I'm gonna go by rifle because that's what I shoot now. But buy 8-pound kegs and buy, if you can get 16 pounds or 32 pounds, buy it that way if you shoot enough. Just because you'll have one load and it'll be set. If you go playing with everything, okay. 1-pounders will work, but you'll be developing a new load every time you change cans or canisters of powder.
Yep.
That's why I moved to 8-pound kegs of Unique, 4 at a time.
Yeah.
The old Uniques were canisters.
Kegs.
They were kegs. Yeah.
Well, they're little drums, if you would prefer, paper drums.
Yeah.
And I still call the 8-pound jug a keg.
New stuff is a jug, a plastic jug.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the issue with the old paper ones was moisture wicking through the canister, which did happen. But plastic now is pretty good, and
it's not as staticky as it used to be.
Right. And if you buy 30 millimeter ammo cans, you can get 2 8-pounders in an ammo can, and you can store them without any doubt of moisture changing the powder, because moisture will change your powder as far as your loads and everything else. And I know no one wants to put it in a metal 30 millimeter ammo can, but it does work. And a lot of shooters that I know that shoot for competition and that do store their powder that way, because they're getting the same a weight index every time they use that powder. In other words, they'll take it out, they'll maybe pour out a pound, they'll reload, and immediately though that powder goes back into the main jug, goes back into the 30 can, gets pushed off to the side, and that's it.
Okay. That's what I wanted to clarify, is to make sure that people understood you're not taking the powder and pouring it out of the jug into the can.
No.
So
the jug stays with it is. The jug, the nice thing about jugs, the plastic jugs, they do not hold a static charge anymore. They're as humidity proof as can be for plastic. Now, plastic is porous. Don't let anybody tell you differently. But
right.
It's got a slower rate than the cardboard ones that we used to get in the old days. And the best was the metal cans that we had from DuPont. Right, there we go.
That's why this powder is probably almost 40 years old.
Take a whiff of it, Mikey. Tell me truthfully what it smells like.
Oh, this is still good powder. I've used this for loads.
Tell me what you smell.
I smell deliciousness.
Ether.
So, but I mean, that's the thing, is there's no difference or very little difference between this, and then if I think I have a plastic one around here somewhere. So, but that's because these were so good and they were kept well.
Mm-hmm. I haven't bought powder in a can for a long time.
They haven't made it in a can in a long time. That's the thing. So
yeah. Probably it's economics too. Plastic
it's definitely cheaper to.
Yep, exactly.
So, John's hand loading said I had one get rusty inside on me from degradation. Right. Yeah. So if I cracked that open and I saw any sign of rust whatsoever, that's what powder does when it breaks down. It's not the container that's rusting; it's the powder itself. It's oxidizing. Also, it will smell like rotten eggs or a bad catalytic converter. It's a very obnoxious smell, not the ether smell that you normally get on most of them. So, but what do we do if we have any doubt on powder, gentlemen?
Turn it into fertilizer.
Amen.
It's good stuff for that.
Works great on the yard.
Oh, it's awesome. It works great on pretty much everything for fertilizer. It's an amazing fertilizer, honestly. Although I have a different fund for mine. So I use mine for fire decoration.
Decorating the ceiling.
No, campfire outside. No, Andy, we're not making pipe bombs. That's illegal. So John's hand loading said it was still sealed, the little cap they used to have. So that's kind of a drawback is I can't reach that one. But anyway, what he's talking about is he's talking of 4064, probably similar to this can here. They also used to have one that was more square and it had a plastic pull top on it. Mm-hmm. But I'm guessing he said little cap. So he's probably talking this size here, same as these are all the same. It's just that DuPont was smart and didn't put a lot of effort into packaging. Whereas once it started going to IMR and we started getting a little more serious, this is still got the DuPont name on it. But I'm pretty sure that when this was produced, DuPont was already owned by Hodgdon. So
no.
Mm-mm. Okay.
Hodgdon switched over to plastic.
Oh, okay.
DuPont was always in the metal can.
Okay.
In the 1 pounders, and
so they just decided to finally get fancy.
It was marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the thing, and everybody at the time thought Hodgdon was a surplus powder vendor.
Originally, they weren't they? Originally.
Yes.
Yeah. $48.95 and 43.80. 48.31.
Yes.
Excuse me. 48.31.
Yeah, they were surplus powders at the time.
They were surplus powders. There was no shortcut or anything like that. You had those were the two, and then they had their ball powders, which was the H380 and the 414 were their big sellers, and they've added on to the line. But it was originally, $48.95 and $48.31. Usually it was all pulled down. The $48.95 was pulled down 30-06 ammo, and the $48.31 was pulled down 50 cal ammo.
Mm-hmm.
And their instructions were, please use IMR 4831 when loading start low and work up.
They also had the bottles color coded. Mike, do you have any bottles of plastic bottles of IMR powder with you?
Let me go look. Hang on.
Yeah, 4198 from DuPont was a brownish red,
yes, brownish
and 3031 was the red. 4895 was a light blue, if I remember correctly. I used to use a lot of 4320, which was like a very pale blue.
4350 was green. 4895 was reddish orangish red. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
4831. I don't know if I said that or not, but 4831 was orangish red.
Right.
And I think that 4895 was sort of a purple, almost magenta kind of color. See the J on Jorgen Ragan right there on your screen, Paul? I believe it was about that color.
Okay.
I believe. I could be wrong. But my reason why I was asking about color coding on the IMR powders currently, I believe they have put the color coding onto the labels of the, right there. Mike's got 3 bottles of something. And I believe they moved the color. 4064 was blue. They moved that onto the plastic bottle, onto the paper label, or this plastic label, whatever it is.
I made a mistake on the 4320. That was green. It was green now. I remember. That used to be one of my 22-250 loads. I could, it was just a set load. That if the gun didn't, if I got a 22-250 and it didn't shoot that 4320, it was time for a new barrel.
Yep. And I believe 4350 was a deep hunter green.
Yeah. I think it's brown now.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I haven't paid attention to that color code for a long time.
No, I don't pay attention to much of anything anymore other than the number and the which 30 millimeter can it's in.
Ido Rogers got a good question. Is there a difference in a mil-spec barrel nut inside diameter versus an AR-15? I have a barrel that measures 1.050 AR barrel extension, and any free float handguards I found are too small, 0.975 ish. Thank you, Mike. I can't answer that man's question.
There shouldn't be, but there always are. There's nothing says that mil spec is spec. Okay. In other words,
mil spec's a misnomer.
Right. It just says, it's this variation that we have that, it says it can be from XXY to XX zebra. Okay. It can be anywhere in between there. So yeah, you could be off that much and not get it to work.
Mil-spec is nothing more than a specification. It is not a quality standard.
Nope. So, hey, GGW reloading. There you go. He was just talking about that.
Yeah. But when you look at mil-spec, you're sitting there going, it will give you a dimension as a minimum and a dimension as a maximum.
Read the screen right there.
That is an absolutely perfect definition of mil-spec.
Mil-spec.
Tyler Jones.
Go ahead.
Mil-spec, built by the lowest bidder, and it's roughly this size. So, that is a perfect definition of mil-spec. So I grabbed a few different ones. First, Jim, to warm your heart.
Unique. Gold label, gold and red label.
I think that light's making it worse. Let me kill that light.
Yeah, we are getting a lot of glare off of it.
Yeah. One of these days I gotta get serious. So
that's off your monitor, so that's all right.
So here's a can of Unique, and it was paper with metal top and bottom. So like what Paul was talking about.
Plastic pull plug.
Yeah. So the 4064 that he was talking about, it was probably in one of these two.
In your right hand.
This one's the older style. This one's the newer style.
Yes, sir.
But I mean, it's just different graphics. It's still the same can, still the same cap. So and those caps are a pain in the butt to get on correctly. So you have to learn how. But what we were talking about before is with the IMRs, different colors.
He's got a can of 4227, pale gray.
You're dang right.
There's confusion if I ever saw it. 7828 and 4064, same color.
Nope. Let me put them next to each other. The camera doesn't do them justice, but this is a lot deeper blue.
Yeah, I see. Even the screen shows that.
So, but then you've got Hodgdon with their jugs, and you've got different colored labels. So, do you think?
Whoop.
I think we just lost Mike.
Yeah, we lost Mike here for a minute, guys. We'll get him back. Don't worry, he'll show us what he's got.
Hopefully we'll get him back.
There he is.
So do you think that I probably shouldn't have my mouse somewhere I can bump it and kick myself out?
Yeah, good idea.
So my question was going to be, do you think this IMR 4227 and this H 4227 are interchangeable?
No.
Correct. So, but that's kind of wanted to, but see now for their current iterations of IMR, and I'm going to make some people jealous here. They do make sure that the labels are completely different colored.
4350.
Yeah, that's why I said I was going to make people jealous.
And that blue is the same blue as on that can.
Yeah, that's the same 4064. But I also wanted to grab a couple older cans since we were talking about Hodgdon and surplus pull down.
Your wife's in the channel on YouTube.
She does that from time to time.
Hi, Nancy.
So
4895. That's H4895 with a purple label.
Yep.
And H4198.
Yep.
With a sky blue, with a powder blue label.
Yes. I asked Chris about these two. He said they were probably early 60s.
Yeah.
So, for these, so it probably would have been some of the earlier actual commercial packaging. Somewhere I have a BLC, not BLC2, but BLC that's similar to this one here. So, but here's the thing is if I lift this tape or I look under this tape, it says 4895 underneath it. So they actually took a 4895 case and put 4198 in it. So this one, I can't tell what it was originally. I'm guessing. Oh, well, here I can look on the side. This was originally H380.
Somebody's repackaged their own powders.
Yeah, these are empty. These are ones I got from Travis. So these are empty, so it doesn't matter. But this one here, this is Winchester Western ball powder For centerfire rifle, handguns, and 410 shot shell loads, $296.
Mm-hmm.
296 for rifle loads?
Yeah.
I could see 748, but not.
Hey, look at this. Winchester Western Division, East Alton, Illinois.
Yep.
Olin Corporation.
Dub 296. That was his designation.
And it's still deliciously gentle. Actually, Paul, this might have been made just a few miles from me.
Yeah.
This might have been made up at Badger.
The rifle loads for 296 were the Hornet, the 218B, the 256 Winchester. Those were what 296 was used for a lot of. So you could get away with, a good load in 22 Hornet with 296.
Somebody said earlier that you could use H110 and 300 blackout. Well, it stands to reason because H110 and 296, same powder.
Right.
Yep.
But there was no 300 blackout when that 296.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're right about that.
So they may have had the 300 AAC from what's his name? Name slipped my tongue. JDJ.
Yeah.
JD Jones.
Right.
He did some work for me.
He did a lot of Wildcats.
He used to wear a cast too. I know. I shook his head when he had it. He swore it up and down. It wasn't from his handguns.
Yeah, I've run into that too. So when you're in the middle of South Dakota and you run into somebody that that's walking around with a limp, and he has a cast on because he put a 45 ACP round through his rear end because he couldn't use a holster.
Whoops.
Yeah. But that happens. But as we go back to the powders and everything that we're looking at,
yeah,
there, shot shell, rifle, pistol, we have to understand that you're not going to find the powders right now that you really want. I mean, they are just so much in demand. And so we have, as reloaders, we have to take and say, all right, what is available and work with it. I don't like ball powders. Okay. I do use a few, but I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
I find them dirty. I find a lot of carbon buildup in my barrels with it. And I worry about carbon more than I worry about copper.
Correct.
If you put 300 to 400 rounds through a 223 or 22-250 in a day, you can actually get in the throat of the barrel. You can actually get a very high deposit of carbon with ball powder.
I would suspect so. Yeah.
And
think of it kind of like the immediate after effects of a rapids.
Yeah.
Or like a river delta. Basically, your powder is moving fast as it's going through there, but there's some of it that's swirling back around and not going down the barrel, and so it dumps everything there. So, I don't know.
I have a little issue goes back to earlier in the show, the beginning of the show, Mike, if I may.
What, when I called you old?
No.
Oh, okay.
If you can read the text on that label.
No.
Okay.
Camera won't focus.
On the 5th line down, it says action silencer.
Yeah.
So I'm calling my part what the manufacturer called it, a silencer.
Which is what Hiram Maxim called it. So.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it's a muffler, guys.
Yep, that's all it is.
Agreed.
It's a gun muffler. We require them for cars. Why don't we require them for guns?
Yep.
Hollywood. That's why.
That's right.
Hey, Paul, I don't know if you have any experience on that. I know I don't. Single Shot wants to know, how experienced are you folks on the 6.5 JDJ?
I have not played with it. I have shot it, but I have not really played with it as far as hand loading it. It is a good handgun cartridge in a TC, preferably a 14-inch, and I don't think that the one I fired was magna ported, but I don't think it was needed.
There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah. Paul, when 231 is a dirty power up to.
So I think we should have a moment of silence for GGW Reloading, said Paul. So when 231 is a dirty powder, so to speak. Well, it's a ball powder, so yeah. I think we should have a moment of silence for West Covina Dodge, though.
Yep.
He says, UPS is late shipping my order from Midway. The little woman is coming home from Vegas tomorrow. I think I'm busted.
You bet you are.
West Covina Dodge, it's been nice knowing you. Thanks for joining us on the show. We'll pour one out in your memory. So, and yes, Idaho Rogers USMC is smart aleck, of course.
You're not thinking out loud, Idaho. You're just thinking the period. That's what we get for your thinking.
So.
Just kidding, brother.
Echoes Reloading Chamber said the AR-15 M16 Eugene Stoner platform was always designed to be used with stick powder. So.
Yeah. What was the stick powder? Anybody know?
Nope.
50.
Probably 48.95 back then.
Nope. The original powder, if I remember, was 54.77.
That'd be a military designation.
It was so trying to remember. It was Accurate Arms dealt with it. It was a pull down, and the military had a harder. It was a stick powder, and the military had a hard time producing it with that stick powder. So they switched to a ball powder because it was easier to load.
And they had trouble with the powder in the first place because it had too much calcium carbonate in it, and it was causing guns to block up, the action to not lock up. They wouldn't function properly. And men died because of that.
That was with the ball powder.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is that when they use the stick powder in it, that cleaning it wasn't that required. Okay, it was. In other words, you could shoot a lot more before you had to clean it.
Mm-hmm.
Ball powder, it had to be cleaned, and the gun was touted to the military as being an easy gun to clean. You didn't have to spend a lot of time cleaning it.
Right. That was the whole entire idea behind it, because you could pop it quick. So I just pulled it up here, and it says, during early load development for Armalite in 57, Robert Hutton used IMR 4198, which is improved. IMR stands for, where'd that go? Is improved military rifle. And they started using the IMR name in 1914, for those who care. But anyway, so he was using IMR 4198, IMR 3031, and an unnamed Olin ball powder. So Olin being Winchester. Main goal was to get the 55 grain bullet at approximately 3,300 feet per second, and it could penetrate a helmet at 500 yards. They did all the testing with a 22-inch barrel. So when Remington delivered the first lots of 222 Special, later renamed the Remington 223, the cartridges were loaded with IMR 4475. So Frankfurt Arsenal found quickly that 4475 could not reliably achieve the quoted 3250 from an M16 without exceeding maximum chamber pressures. Makes sense because you just hacked 6 inches off the barrel. So, long story short, they decided to go with a Remington style 55 grain FMJ instead of the original Stoner Sierra design, IMR 4475, and no change in pressure specs. So in return, Remington, Olin, Winchester, and Federal all refused to bid because of the pressure issues. And looking to see what ball powder they went to. There's a lot of deep, dark information in this article, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes because it's kind of cool. So there was 2 powders that they approved for loading in M193, which was the ball at the time, the ball load, shall we say. CR8136 and WC846. So Remington chose the CR8136, while other manufacturers selected the WC846. So WC846 had a more dramatic effect on the cycling rate, or cyclic rate. But the problem was CR8136 was not stable from lot to lot. So CR8136 was withdrawn in December of '64.
I use a lot of WC844.
Yeah.
It's a military pull down, and it's very close to BLC2.
So WC846 was withdrawn in '67 and replaced by IMR 8208M.
M stands for military, maybe.
So it's kind of interesting to look at all this stuff here. So WC844 is still used today for loading. Eventually they wound up at WC844. And it's still used today for 5.56 by 45. So that's kind of a cool thing. Yes, 300A AC has another 300 Whisper. Good night, John. So anyway, let's see here. Oh, they're just being smart Alex and picking on Travis when he's not here. They're blaming Travis. Baron Lindsay. Travis loves Shooter's World powder. So when his work schedule finally allows him to rejoin us again, you can get him to go on and on and on about Shooter's World powder. I do not have any yet. I was going to look into getting some, and then COVID happened. So, but Las Covina Dodge uses it too. So it's very, very popular powders. Very versatile from what I've heard, from what I've seen. It's a very good option.
But most of it is ball powder.
Okay.
And there, ball powders are by nature temperature sensitive, and temperature and dirty. That's all.
Yeah.
Um,
It's dirty powder. Just dirty powder.
yeah. Um, it's like Jim's unique. The old 38 special guys would shoot unique, and they'd bring a toothbrush with them with their revolvers. So,
Oh yeah.
you shoot it, dump the cases, take the toothbrush, clean the ejection star out, put in your 5 more cases and do it again.
So what you're saying, it was kind of almost as dirty as shooting black powder.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something else that's just as dirty.
Good.
That's that pot at 4227.
Yeah.
That stuff in 357 gallery loads, yeah. And maybe in 357 heavy loads, but gallery loads, forget it. You could actually see the unburned powder flying out of the gun.
Awesome.
Waste of money.
Yes, it is. So I was going back and looking, and it was episode 119 when we had Chris Hodgson on the first time. So I'm guessing it's Paul Loud, because it says Facebook user. It says, have any of you used Vectin by Noble Sport from France? Can't say that I have.
You might have. HS6, if you've used any of that, is made by Vectin and brought over here. Used to be Smith & Wesson used to import HS6, and there was a Vectin. There are a number of powders that are made by Vectin and brought over here and just not listed as Vectin itself.
So Vectin powder comparison charts by Graf and Sons. Let's see here. I can't even read that on my phone, which sucks. So anyway, Graf and Sons has a chart that's got comparisons. So. And it kind of, it's never an exact, like most of the stuff in this hobby, it's never an exact science. It's a comparable. So, but yeah, I mean, there's, and we're going to find out when we get through the end of this mess that there's going to be some powders that you didn't know existed before because nobody saw them, but now they're finally back.
Well, how many here have used Norma powders?
I have not.
Okay. I mean, they've been around for a long time. Well, they pulled out for a while, but then they came back. But, nobody's been, no one really uses them. We're sit down. We're kind of stuck on the Hodgson IMR Alliant and the Winchester powders as our main powder companies, whereas there's a lot of other ones out there, guys.
Oh, are you old enough to remember the Alcan brand?
Yeah,
I got some number 7 out in the garage.
Yeah,
isn't that the stuff that looks sort of like a bow tie?
Yeah. Yep.
And that was Ricky Spurgeon that was talking about the Vectin. So
the powder was a flat flake powder that was cut, die cut, and it had different shapes as far as a tie and triangles and stuff, depending upon how it was cut through the press. But yeah, there was Alcan had a lot of powder out.
I believe they went under, didn't they? Didn't that company go under?
I think they were bought out.
Well,
Yeah.
They were Alcan was bought out by Double A, Accurate Arms, which was then bought out by Western, which was then bought out by Hodgdon.
Hodgdon owns a whole bunch of powders now. So it says Alcan was bought by Smith & Wesson in the mid-'70s.
that's why it disappeared. I only had one can. It was a square can, and a friend of mine gave me some to make him some ammo.
Yeah, and it was gold with a blue label on it, and had a pry-off lid, metal lid on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Line closed out in the early 80s. So it says Alcan powders were made in Sweden by Bofors. Yes, that Bofors.
How'd you know I was thinking of those things? They have a few of those on the USS North Carolina.
I want one.
That's just the design. The production of barrels was made in wasn't it in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee?
Something like that.
Yeah,
I just want one quad mount. That's all I want. You guys talk for a second. I'm gonna grab that can of Alcan and that I've got out in the garage. Hang on.
It's a good thing the editor makes all the noise. He doesn't give himself hell.
that's okay. He's allowed to this time. Next time we'll get him.
Anyway, I appreciate the help with the suggestions on help me get that suppressor lined up so it'll hang true and square.
That's the next thing you got to do is you got to get a good cleaning rod, and you got to go through and you got to run it through the barrel to see that it's you're not hitting anything.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's one thing I don't have is a solid 22 caliber cleaning rod.
You got to get, and I remember everybody should get one of these Dewey rods. This is a 22 to 26 caliber rod. Got a nice handle that spins nicely.
Yep.
It's coated, so it and it's solid on the top. It's got a male end on it, so you don't have. You can knock a bullet out if you want.
Mm-hmm. Does it have an adapter to fit the?
Then it makes an adapter to fit right here.
To fit the 832 clean.
Yep. It has an adapter for that. So
I'm reading a book, Mikey.
You can't read. You're just looking at the picture.
This is the jag the jag that you use with it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Parker Hale jag.
Mm-hmm.
It is a waffle pattern type indention around it, and you use paper towels.
That is genius. Baron Lindsay wants to know how long that rod is, Paul.
44 inches.
Woo. It's a lot more than I need.
No, I mean you got any 22 caliber guns?
Yes, I do. Of course, I do.
Okay, then
I've got a Model 12 upstairs. I do believe it has a 24 inch barrel on it.
Okay, and then
going back through the action, I'm going to need at least 32 inches of barrel or rod.
44 is what you need for something that's got anything over a 20-inch barrel.
Yep.
Just order the longest rod that they make. They don't make these anymore. These are the old Parker Hale rods. This one is really old, but this is a 30 caliber rod.
By the way, I'll be picking your brain in the Reloading podcast chat about that Dewey Hale, I think you called it, cleaning rod.
The Parker Hale is the Jag.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a Dewey cleaning rod.
Dewey, okay.
And you can go right to Dewey and order them. And you can order their all their accessories at the same time. So, and it will come with a regular Jag and an adapter. So that comes standard with it. You do need to pick up bore guides.
I have one.
These are fit so they don't leak.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they have an O-ring seal. So when you put that into the action, I can screw that down, put that into the action, and with the solvent port here, you won't get any junk in your trigger, and you won't get anything down in there to cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't go into your chamber; it just goes down the bore. So I can actually squirt, and with my rifle on a slight angle, I can actually squirt and let the solvent go down the barrel. So,
what you got, Mikey?
A yawn. So this is Alcan AL7 3-pound.
Okay.
Smokeless shotgun powder.
Yep, it says smokeless shotgun powder. Smith & Wesson Fiocchi makes no warranty express or implied with respect to the use of this powder. Make sure correct charge weights are used. Consult Alcan charge chart for further information on Alcan powders. Says this product is made in Sweden by the Nobelkrut powder division of the Antobolege Bofors, especially for Smith & Wesson Fiocchi, Alton, Illinois. Who else was in Alton, Paul?
Oh, well, we had Winchester Western at Alton.
All right.
And who was the shot maker at the time that was in Alton? Can't remember the name of them. Slips my mind right now.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But yeah, I looked at this. I just popped this one open a couple seconds ago. Powder's still good. I won't ever use it for anything. First off, I don't have data on it, but I don't really have a need to use it. But this one is kind of like diamond shaped, it looked like. But I don't know how much of it's broken apart either. So
no, that's about right. You'll find some bow ties and you'll find some diamond shapes in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and you'll find the data is close to HS6.
Okay.
Lakeview Outdoors, isn't he one of their friends from down under? I'm thinking hunt, shoot, off road. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Lakeview Outdoors is from Utah. So, forgot what I was going to say. Oh well. Yep, forgot what I was going to say, so no big deal. All right. So, I mean, the one thing we really haven't talked to yet is shotgun. We started to a little bit. But then we went back into metallic because of a question I asked. Now, metallic, it's a lot easier to switch powders because metallic, it's a lot easier to switch everything. Shot shell is so temperamental that for the most part, you really wind up staying on book. And there's not really a lot of room to experiment, in my personal opinion. Now, there are people out there that are playing around with a lot of stuff. So,
You're going to play around with, there are different charge weights. Okay. You're still talking about,
yeah, exactly.
your 2.5 dram load, your 2 3/4, your 3 dram load.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to play around there for velocity wise,
Right.
but you're limited by the wad, the hull, and how much shot is in there. So, and the primer. So, yes, you're going to go by book, but what we're looking for is, when with a shotgun, you're looking for pattern. So we want to shoot to see, we're going to shoot 5 loads to see how the gun patterns on a piece of paper. At, let's call it 30 or 40 yards.
I usually do mine at 35.
There you go. But that's what you're looking for. That's, so you may sit down and say, I'm here. Let's try to slow it up a little bit. Yep. So I'm going to drop back a little bit. I know guys that used to sit down and with their powder bushings use their wife's fingernail polish to coat the inside to reduce it little by little until they got what they needed.
Yeah, don't do that with a lead load all.
Yeah.
Why?
The nail polish eats the bushings. Because they're plastic. I've seen the
some catastrophic.
I've seen the after results of that. Somebody that had mechs for years, and then they got a Loadmaster for 20 gauge, kind of like I did, and then they tried to do that same trick. It didn't work. So, make sure you're using steel bushings. Now, one of the things that I liked, but unfortunately the company is out of business, there was a Canadian company that was making a micrometer adjustable charge bar for the 600 juniors.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. It's amazing. It's really nice to be able to have that much adjustability versus the bushings without having to use nail polish or masking tape there's literally probably hundreds of different things that all these old shotgunners used to try and do to change the dimension of the bushing. Now we have an advantage with 3D printers. So, and there's a few programs out there that say, okay, so a mech bushing or a 366 bushing or a SL900 bushing. And you can literally change the diameter by 1/2 of a millimeter by just printing a new bushing. And, the prints take probably 4 or 6 hours. So it's something you start up before you go to bed, come in the morning, grab it, clean it up, and away you go. So, versus having to do the nail polish or the masking tape or, the various other tricks.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like Paul was saying, it's very dependent on the hull, the wad, and the payload. So you don't have a lot of ability to switch between powders depending on what wad you're using. So when you're looking at this and you're researching, if you're somebody that likes to play, so I've got Remington STS up right now. I've just got a page up. These are 7/8 loads, so these are light loads. But the prevalent wad is the Winchester WAA 12L. And that one you can actually switch between powders. But if you grab like a BP Super Spark or a PC Purple, you're really limited. So in your powders, basically you're looking at 1 powder for the Purple and 2 for the Super Spark. Versus with that WA12SL, I've got 5 different powder options, and that's That's 7/8 ounce. Not many people are loading 7/8 ounce on a 12 gauge. Most people
Load an ounce.
ounce or ounce and an eighth, depending on what they're doing.
If you're registered, you're loading an ounce and an eighth.
Yeah.
If you're playing, you load an ounce, and 7/8 if you're just goofing off.
Yep. 7/8 if you're goofing off or you're trying to get somebody into shooting and you don't have a 20 gauge laying around.
Well, you're better off with a 12.
Right.
Just for
Absolutely.
the weight. Just for the weight. If I was going to teach somebody to shoot a shotgun, I would start them with a 28.
Really?
It's just it's a very well-weighted gun and a very good pattern, and it beats a 410 all to heck, and it's doesn't have the recoil of a 20.
Yeah.
So
basically, my understanding is a 28 is to the 20 and the 410 like the 16 is supposed to be for the 12 and the 20.
Right.
I've never shot a 28. I've shot lots of 410s. I've swung a few 28s at work, and oh my goodness, they're nice.
Because most of the 28s are over and unders,
or
side by sides, and
yep.
I have two of them, SKBs, and one's a side by side, the other one's an over and under, and I treasure them.
But 28's one of those you're definitely going to, if you're going to get into 28s, you're definitely going to want to hand load. And this is, we're talking pre-COVID time. You're going to want to hand load because of the cost.
If I hunt with it, though, I buy it. Okay.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do. I don't hand load 28 gauge at all. I mean, because I don't use them that much. I buy I'll buy a box or two and pattern it, see where it is, and go from there. Okay. But 28 is my favorite dove gun, and it's my favorite pheasant gun.
Makes sense. Easy swinging.
Easy swing, lightweight. I mean, can carry it through the fields without much of a problem. And it's just a very nice gun to carry. And it's being an over and under or side by side, they're very short.
Yeah.
So
they were talking, I think, 24, maybe 26-inch barrels at the most.
24 inch barrels.
Yeah.
And they're not, and being a short action with the over and under or side by side, there's nothing to it. When you start adding 6 inches or 5 inches for a 28 gauge, it goes on a 20 gauge receiver. So you might as well shoot a 20 gauge then for a pump or a semi-auto. So yeah, it's just a beautiful gun to carry and swing. And I've swung everything from Kraigoffs to Perazzis and Ludix and, work guns. Those are work guns.
Yeah. Interesting. GGW Reloading says, I have a friend that belongs to a duck club, and that's all you can have is 28 gauge.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The English were very good at pass shooting ducks.
Yeah.
They had a tower. They would sit down and they would put the ducks up into a tower, kick them off the tower, and they'd fly to the pond.
Okay.
Okay. So
kind of like with what hunt clubs do with pheasants nowadays.
Right. Yeah.
JH586 wants to know anybody else missed 16 gauge. It's not dead. In fact, Browning is now making a brand new Sweet 16. So 16 gauge is far from dead. But I mean, so looking at the target loads, 1 ounce and an eighth, there's a whole bunch more watt options, and that also opens up now instead of 4 or 5 powders, I've got one wad that I can use on 12 different powders. So, uh, that's kind of one of the things. Post COVID, your 16 gauges are going to really start to, um, your 16 gauges are going to come back. You're going to see a lot more ammo. I mean, we've seen a little bit here and there, but not a lot.
Well, there's a reason why you see a lot of ounce and an eighth loads, though, right?
Right.
We understand that because that's a standard sporting clay, skeet, and trap load.
Yep.
So there a lot of wads are made for that load.
Yep.
A lot of hulls are made with that
in mind.
And so you're going to get a whole lot of different powder choices because of that.
Right.
And the wad design, there are some wads that are what I call a post wad, that are meant for skeet, where there's a post in the center and it's loaded around that, and they open up to a very nice pattern at that 12 to 15 yard range. Okay. In a gun that's bored skeet and skeet. The sporting clay loads, you're going to, because of the type of choke that you run normally in those guns, you're going to see a little bit tighter of a pattern. And the idea is to have a good velocity so you can reach out there, because when one of those clays hits the ground and bounces up, you want to be able to shoot and be able to get it while it's still in the air.
Yeah.
And then trap is trap. I mean, you got to deal with, your standard 16 yard, and then whatever your handicap is.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's kind of the drawback to shot shells, is it's not, you really have to properly plan when you get loading shot shells.
yes.
You can't just wing it. Especially with the wads, because if you don't have the right wad for the hull you're using, you can be in a world of hurt. If you're trying to use a straight wall wad and a tapered hull, you're never going to get it to seat right.
Yeah, federal is, most of the federal wads are straight wad, and your Winchester and Remington cases are tapered. So you're dealing with two different things, but you got clays, you got I don't know how many different wads that are out there.
Oh yeah.
That Windjammer and everything else. Some of them can be used, but it's up to how up to you to develop the load for that and for your gun.
Yep. And so, but I mean, that's kind of the thing that I wanted to get into, is there is a lot of shot shell powder options, but you're limited on your wads and stuff. So you can't just hot powders like you can in a handgun or in a rifle, where all of a sudden you're trying it with 168 grain in a 308, and you don't like that powder because you're not getting good enough group. It's not as easy to switch powders out in shot shell as it is in your metallic.
That's where your velocity comes in. You got to sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna, if I'm blowing my pattern open at 1250, maybe I want to cut back to 1200 or maybe 1150, and not have my pattern blow open.
Right.
So I'm gonna go that way with it. I just different wads, like I say, will give you different patterns. So you may need to switch hulls to use that wad to give you a different pattern. Live bird shooting, I used to use Federals,
Yeah.
and it's two shots per bird, but it was a very tight patterning gun and shell.
Yeah, I just saw that comment. So Jim had to go. He was it's way past his bedtime, so
Yeah, we
he
know.
says good night and bailed. We're wrapping it up here shortly, but GGW Reloading says he was on Midway USA today and saw the Hornady 366s going for 1420. That is double what they were pre-COVID.
I should have kept my.
You want it back so you can sell
No.
it? I mean,
No.
I would
You know-
I would be more than happy to give it back to you if you want it.
I
So I
I'm
appreciate it
joking with
greatly,
you.
but yeah.
Yep. You got to understand that I bought those wholesale.
Oh yeah, you probably paid. Let's see that one because it's still Pacific. You probably paid about $1.25 for it.
A little more. I think they were 175 at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we upgraded the tubes to get the big tubes.
Those are so much of a godsend. So yeah.
You can't find the big tubes anymore.
No, you can't. I looked for them because those are a little old, but I wanted to get. They're not brittle yet.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get another set before they did get brittle, and I couldn't find any.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yep.
But
yeah, unfortunately, I was joking earlier tonight. I've got a Lee Loadmaster. I was joking earlier. I was joking about selling it. I probably could sell it for twice of what I paid for it originally, but I also bought it 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if anybody wants it because I've been loading 40 on it. So, it's tainted for some people. They might not want it. Anyway, no, I'm not actually selling it. So I got to get the rest of this room cleaned up so I can get that in here. It's on that Lee loader stand, their little triangle stand. And it's so nice. So, but I got to get the rest of this mess behind me cleaned up so I can actually get it in here.
Well, I finally found a house in Bloomington.
Congratulations.
And it already has an outbuilding.
Oh, beautiful.
And I have 14 by 22.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, the 40 by 60 pole shed you wanted, but you'll be able to afford to heat it.
True. So, it's, I got a closing date in August. So
congratulations.
We'll be moving down there then.
Yep.
And, but it's, move to a free state finally.
Yeah. That'll be nice.
Yeah. First thing I'm going to do is get one of them funny little tubes that Jim got over there.
There you go.
Because I know I'm going to have to wait a year. So.
Yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, if you are able to go, if you go through Silencer Shop and you use their e-forms, it's a lot quicker.
Okay.
It's not quite half as quick, but almost. So, good night, Idaho. But
yeah.
So I mean, there's lots of different stuff out there for the powder and stuff.
There is, and don't be afraid of it. I mean, everybody sits down and, I mean, how many of the 308 people are sitting there going, 4064, 4895, or Varget? Okay,
right, and that's it.
That's it.
No, there's so many more options out there.
Yeah, look at them. I mean, try them. I mean, Sierra will list you, 15 loads for it. Okay.
Yep.
So don't be afraid of trying something and to get through this, because this is not going to just last this. I figure through all of next year, all till this time next year.
Yeah,
before we really.
a couple of companies, including Hornady, have come out and they flat out said this is not a short term thing.
Right.
So, the main reason is because of who's buying what when.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at it. They just said that we had another record month of gun sales.
Oh yeah,
You know, and yeah, the government was supporting it. I got to tell you that.
yep,
You know, they were giving everybody money to go buy guns,
yep.
but you know that's the way it is.
But there's a lot of people that just there's a lot of customers that we had come through the gun counter that were first time purchasers that put off other things
Yeah,
because they realize that yes, they need to be responsible for themselves.
yeah.
But and the good news is most of the ones that I know have gotten training of some sort. So
Well, that's good. I mean, you know, we sit down and have to train people, and it's our responsibility to get people trained.
right,
If you don't think you can teach somebody, take them to somebody that can teach them.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying everybody is a teacher.
nope.
And the worst thing in the world is trying to teach your better half
Here,
because it don't sink in.
nope.
My kids, I was able to train and teach the right things. Granddaughter, have a little hard time with her. Still too independent at 15 years old, going on 30, but we'll get there.
Yep.
Wife, I had somebody else train. Nope, hands off.
Yep, you're not the only one I know that does that. So
the hardest part of training somebody is they always want you to see you to make sure that you can do what you're telling them to do.
yeah,
And sometimes some of us aren't up to it as far as not basic gun handling, but shooting, the type of shooting that works. I'm old and slow now. I'm not like I used to be. But you have to be able to explain to people that you can do this, and you know, you just have to practice.
yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing is instilling confidence.
Right.
So
Well,
no,
I
don't
think
want to try and teach anybody to drive a stick,
yeah.
especially your significant other. Good grief. Or your kids for that matter. No thanks.
I taught my girls how to drive a stick shift. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. You know, so
well, girls listen to instructions better. My boys, no, not so much.
Well, that's because you didn't have the right persuader with you.
Yeah, this is true.
You know, the 2x4.
I couldn't. The wife was along.
The 2x4 behind the head always works.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're supposed to do it whack this way.
Right. So, bullets are starting to make a comeback. Primers are making a little bit of comeback. We had a whole bunch yesterday. A whole bunch more CCI primers. Some small pistol, small rifle, large pistol were on the shelf, and there was a few thousand of each. So,
wow.
I mean, they're starting. It's starting to make a comeback. It's not anywhere near where we can start not worrying and not being concerned about when you see something and you want it, pick it up type thing, because that's still the case. But I mean, we've got more guns on the shelf and in the back room than we've had since January.
Okay.
I mean, January at one point in time, we had 22 handguns for sale in the entire store. So
I was talking to a guy the other day on cars, and because of the chips that are required to make them work, they got 63 cars in. This is a dealer that normally has 350 cars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our local Chevy dealers got like 30 cars on the lot, and they
Yeah.
normally have 200. So, I mean, some of the primers you're going to see it. GGW said 1196 for 100. Not that bad. Mine, all the ones we had were 799 or 699, and then the Magnums were 799 for 100. So, I mean, you're talking, if you go back to not pre-COVID, because right before COVID they were still $499 a box for 100. But I mean, you're talking 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah, that was about the price. So, but part of it is the materials are a lot harder to get, so it's costing them more for the materials.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, and part of it, it's we can leave them more. So,
I just broke open a box of primers the other day, and I looked at the price tag on that 1,000. It was $10.
yeah,
Okay. So
I have some 209s out in the garage. That the sticker on them was $12.99 for 1,000.
yeah.
So, but let's see here. I'm wondering which Bass Pro, because that's the other thing you have to realize, is all you've got mine up here, my Cabela's up here, but if we take stuff off my shelves from here and we go down to south side of Chicago is going to be a lot more expensive.
Well, you go from there, you go right to Hoffman Estates.
Yep.
Okay. They never have anything.
No, they don't.
They're sold out. I mean, of primers and powder and everything.
Right.
And then you go down to the Indiana Cabela's
Hammond,
and there's nothing there.
Nope.
And there's a Bass Pro shop by me here, Bolingbrook.
Yep.
Never anything. I mean, every once in a while you find a few powders there or something.
Yeah.
But no, very little as far as reloading stuff that goes. And but I go to the gun shops, and yeah, they'll have some stuff. So there'll be some there, and
yep.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting myself. I have enough primers where I'm okay.
Right.
But my next purchase is going to be cases. I'm going to be a 5,000 case of this, 5,000 case of that, and buy it that way.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's definitely to the point where I would buy 100 or a couple hundred at a time,
right?
Maybe 1,000, but now I'm gonna. It's just easier to buy the 5,000 and be done with it. So
right. So we'll deal with it as it comes. So
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, some of it depends on the market for parts. So he says it's the Bass Pro in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I don't know if Oklahoma's really got that bigger of a difference of cost or not, but
well, it depends what they're paying to get them in.
Right.
Powder Valley wrote a letter out to people that have subscribed that they had a manufacturer come up to them and said that hey, we can give you what was it? I think it was like 1.5 million primers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're going to cost us much more.
They're going to cost you this much more.
Yeah.
Okay. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that to my customers. I'm not going to charge them,
yeah,
way over. And he let him go.
Yep.
Okay. I don't blame the man.
Nope.
His business is selling things, as cheaply as he can and make a profit to keep his business up,
Right.
but not to rip his customers off.
Yeah. So,
and I'm not saying that Bass Pro rips their people off, their customers. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just saying that they had a chance to buy something at a price.
Yep.
And there's a demand for it, and that's what they went.
Yep. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just some of it's the market it's in, some of it's what they paid for them to begin with. I mean, the ones we just got in were CCIs, so I mean, CCIs you expect to be a little more, but so far nothing that I've seen come in my Cabela's in Sun Prairie has been overtly ridiculous in pricing. It's still better than most of the stuff that's out there, and it's definitely not anywhere near gouging. Some of it is because of manufacturers' pricing increases, like Winchester back in March announced a price increase.
Yeah.
And here's the change. Normally, when a manufacturer announces in this industry, when they announce a pricing change, especially ammo, primers, et cetera, it's a year out, and it doesn't take effect until that time. And anything that had been previously ordered and paid for doesn't get the price raise. Because of the situation we're in now, Winchester not only gave a 30-day notice for a price increase, but they informed everyone that anything that was on order at the time, no matter when it was ordered, would be subject to the new price.
Yep.
So that's kind of what we're dealing with here, is they're trying to keep it down, but you're talking their material costs have gone up. So
well, you got your material costs have gone up, your labor costs have gone up.
Yep.
Just in the manufacture of primers, I don't know who wants to do it, but I'm not the one that wants to be standing in a puddle of water all day long. Okay.
No. Yep.
And using a squeegee to push primer material in.
Yep.
Who is it? Baron Lindsay, $30 a thousand again. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see primers anywhere near $30 a thousand. You'll be lucky to see them at $50 a thousand.
Yeah.
In the long run. Unless, and this is a big unless we get a change of political leadership and people become blasé again.
Yeah.
Like they did with Trump, and things kind of
the market kind of ridiculously slows down.
Right.
You're not going to see it, and there's too much panic driving the market still.
Yeah. I mean, we were buying factory 223 ammunition for ARs, 193,
30 cents a round.
Yeah, $300 a thousand. Okay, I mean that was $319 a thousand with delivery.
Yep.
So, and it was good ammo. I mean, it was not junk.
Right.
You can't touch it now. You're going to touch it for
60.
Yeah, 60. $600, $700 a case.
Yeah, we've got the herder stuff right now. We get in 150 pack, the 223 55 grainers for $90. So it's 67 cents a round. The federal bulk pack is 100 pack. It's $74.95. Yeah, 75 cents a freaking round.
Yeah,
but people are buying it because they don't have any.
Well, let's face it. How many people have been buying guns that they couldn't get ammo? I mean, I got a neighbor behind me over here that says I can't get ammo. Okay, I bought the gun, but I can't get any ammo for it.
Yeah, and we get that all the time. People buy a
Yeah.
handgun. You got any bullets? No. So I'm supposed to buy a gun, but you don't have any ammo for it. Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. You know,
So
you that's where the little mom and pop shop sometimes is better.
right.
You may pay a little more for it,
Oh
but
yeah,
he's gonna have the ammo to go with it.
yeah. Top Pack Defense. He's a local guy here. He's had ammo the whole time. Now, granted, it's gotten pricier, but
Yeah.
he still can get ammo for the customers. And he lets them know that, hey, yeah, I can get it, but it's going to be more expensive. So,
Yeah.
but
You know,
yeah, I mean, there's an example: Wolf 9mm, 50 rounds, $20 at Shields. Those used to be $8.
yeah.
Aguila 50 or 50 pack of Aguila 22s was $6.99 the last time we got them in. I used to buy Wildcat bricks for $6.99.
Yeah.
Not that terribly long ago. So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to get better. It's getting better slowly. When we start to hit that teeter point where now the manufacturer warehouses are filling up, that's when we're going to start to see the prices coming down.
Yeah.
Because then you've got your glut. So, but it's just a matter of,
Yeah, it's just a matter of when. Okay.
right.
When this catches up. I mean, the nation has finally gone off of having to wear masks. Okay.
Yep.
The little boy in the child sniffer was up there and telling everybody that you don't have to wear a mask anymore. Jeez, I mean, what changed in a week?
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Um,
Yep.
Anyhow, we're sitting there. We're running on 2.5 hours here almost.
Yep.
I think.
So that's a Lead Bullet Junkie said, I gladly keep shopping at my local store. I can get as much accurate powder I want for $30 a pound. Mind you, that's not the best price in powder, but they actually have it and keep in stock. So to give you an idea, pre-COVID, 8208 was $24.99 for a pound. It's now $39.99. So, so
I was spending $165 for 8 pounds of rifle powder, whatever it was. I mean, $48.95, whatever. Now it's almost $260.
There's a 8-pounder jug of clays up there. I paid $125 for. It's now $250.
Yeah. So,
but yeah. So I mean, it will come back down, just like it did in 2012, 2013, where we had stuff skyrocketing. It will come back down. It will never be back to the way it was because your component costs aren't going to go that cheap to allow it to go back to, super cheap, but it'll come back down. So
somewhat.
Yep.
The material the material is still the kicker on this whole thing. You can't make powder any faster than what they do anyway. So just like primers, you can only make primers at a certain speed. It requires it to be for them to dry out and everything else. So
good news on that. For those who didn't know, Gresham about 4 weeks ago said there's 3 companies building primer factories.
Yeah.
So about a year.
Yeah.
That'll help.
A year.
Yeah.
A year.
Yep. Because it's not something that you can just slap together. So,
like I said before this started, in 1 year from today, you will see us getting there, and then they have to the ROI on their investment.
Yep.
They will have to make up with that.
Yep.
That means new people trained and all the new equipment, everything else that all goes into it. They can find the buildings. I'm not worried, if they can get the city fathers to allow them to put the building where it is. Okay. I mean, if the building is already existing, that's not the problem. If they have to build a new building, then there's issues of building permits, construction schedules, material. I don't know if anybody's gone to the lumber yard lately.
Oh my goodness, 2x4s are absurd. 4x8 sheets of plywood used to be $18. They're now 60.
Right.
So
yeah, we got a little problem there, guys. All that stuff goes into building a new building.
Yep.
So the ROI on that is tremendous. And you're talking such a small return. Gross margin on a primer is somewhere around 2 cents. Okay.
Yep.
So there ain't a lot there, guys.
No. So, well, let's start wrapping this one up, gang. So
sounds good to me.
But I want to take time to thank everybody who tunes in every week. Thank everybody who sends us emails to reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Everybody who sends us text messages or voicemails to 608-467-0308. Unless you're Chris Sharp and a slacker and you promised to and you didn't because you're a lying bastard. Damn it, Sharp. I was so looking forward to it. You just totally left me hanging. Bastard. So there. Want to thank Primary Arms for being a sponsor of the show. Make sure you swing by there, check out what they've got going on. New sale stuff every week. So, Strike Industries, AR Enhanced Low Receiver Parts Kit, No Fire Control Group on sale. They've got some magazines on sale, Hollow Sun Red Dot on sale, bunch of other good stuff. So make sure you check them out. That's primaryarms.com, in addition to their optics. So thank Jake and Ryan over at Patriot Patch Company. Here is the current patch of the month. Right there. Danger close. I want that drone. Got a couple of Saturn mood launchers, some M80s, nice big roll of firecrackers, and of course the excuse me. And of course we've got the good old Roman candle launchers. So that's all sorts of fun.
Yeah, GGW reloading, yes, 2 cents times 100 million.
Yep.
Exactly, but that's gross margin.
Yep.
There's a difference between actual ROI on it. A gross margin is the basic return that you're getting. So you have to take your other hidden costs out of that.
You betcha.
So just 25 years of running my own business and 30 plus years of working as an estimator and a contractor. ROI is big for me.
Mm-hmm.
So and gross margins are big. So
yep.
Yeah. Everybody thinks it's big money, but it ain't.
No. Gross margin is a term that was basically created to help get suckers to buy into your company.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what that is. It is a false positive of profit to get more people to invest in your company via stocks or whatever the case may be. and it's not a real concept of profit. So
Yeah. And there's only one time I have ever had a job that I actually did a gross profit higher than a gross margin higher than 51%. It actually came in at 75%, but by the time it was done, it was 50.
Yeah.
And that was after taxes. So I had a very sharp pencil that day, and that was better than a gun.
Yeah. Oh, that's all the proof you need on what gross margin truly is. Baron Lindsay, according to gross margin, I've saved a ton of money by reloading.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Big shout out to Patreons who help make this all possible with their hard-earned money, sending it to us so we can continue to do this. Just grateful for everybody that supports the show and has supported the show over the years. Grateful for everybody that joins us for the live chat every week. So,
and guys, send in some questions to us.
Yeah,
let's.
We need some questions. We've got topics to go through on MeWe. We're going to work on getting through some of those, but we also need some questions.
Yeah, put something up to us and that, and let's see if the old computer up here can still work every once in a while.
Right.
And Paul Loud,
get better.
Get out of that place, okay?
Yep.
You've been in the repair shop too long.
Yep.
At least you're able to listen to the podcast. I got to tell you that's good. I was not able to do that when I was in.
Yeah, you didn't get that. You didn't get that fun.
Yeah.
So, Nick's in the chat. He was working, so he says jump on the Millsap short bus. Of course he does. So,
of course.
Just grateful for everybody that tunes in. So, that phone number to send us those messages, those text messages, or to leave us a voicemail is 608-467-0308. Once again, 608-467-0308. That should be good anywhere in North America because it's Google Voice. So, sorry, Aussies. I don't think you can call it. But you can send us an email at reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on various social media platforms like Facebook, MeWe, and our own Discord. So,
send pictures with it, please.
Right? Yeah, we love pictures.
Yeah. We need them.
Yep. So on that note, gang, we'll have an abbreviated sign off here. Keep your brass shiny.
And my grandpa told me, he says, violence does solve problems.
GGW Reloading said, good night, Gracie. No, you're supposed to say good night, Gracie. Good night, Gracie. I don't think a lot of people are going to get that. But that's who she's named after.
Yep.
So, she's named after that Gracie, and then Ollie is named after that Ollie. So, and oh my goodness, is that just an absolutely appropriate name for my little Ollie? He is such a card. Anyway, in honor of Jim, because he fell asleep because it's way past his bedtime, because he's an hour ahead of us. Squeak!